much by slide because I think that's better if we go there walking and with Nicolo also when we start our visiting experience. So I like this slide because I think it can explain very well how we have split more or less. Of course, there are no borders, there are virtual borders, but the activity of research in a part of the island, the activity of visualization, and the activity with students. Of course, any activity has exchange and mutual interaction with the others, with the other activities. But it's important to know that the island, the virtual island, is not like a static monument. It's a theater, so that we improve experiments, disassembling virtually monuments and reconstruction and reassembling according to the training, according to the need, of course, of the course of the experience. For example, we have some multimedia platform here able to host some metadata, for example, movies, or cyber reconstruction, like here is the case of the Villa of Libya. And finally, a cyberspace where you have a representation of the archaeological site, how the site is today. You will see a big difference between the reconstruction and the site. People, and also today, visiting the site do not understand anything about the site because they don't have the code for understanding. So they see this there are ruins, but they don't understand that this was a Roman villa, was a monument, was decorated, was full of statues on the gardens, of vegetations, and so on. This is the IGMO. IGMO is the multimedia platform created because of the grant. So the grant was requiring to create a multimedia platform inside the virtual island in order to involve students and visitors in a narrative experience. Narrative means that even if I don't touch anything in the virtual island, I put myself in front of the virtual screen, I have a virtual storytelling. So if you click on the movie, you have an avatar talking with you, or a virtual character explaining where you are, what we are doing, what kind of content, what kind of archaeological information you will find it inside. And the comparison between the archaeological site and the contemporary landscape. So, in short, any multimedia platform inside the 3D cyberspace can host different metadata and data like pictures, 3D panels, text, and so on. It's a sort of a 3D library where you can upload many different content. This kind of activity, we think, is very important for involving visitors, involving learning experiences through the reconstruction. So we cannot just put the reconstruction in the 3D cyberspace without any captions, any facilities. Otherwise, every user can be disappointed in a very short time because there's nothing able to communicate something. But the core of the activity, and we'll show in even some movies, the core of the activity is the interaction between people, the communication factor. This is very important, and I think it's very promising for the future, I think, development of the island. This is one of the tremendous work Nicolo did inside the virtual island, the parametric reconstruction of the villa. This is not just a virtual monument, it is a measured monument, so that you can check centimeter by centimeter the size, because it's based on scientific data. So there's a big difference, because if you do a reconstruction, you can spend even a few hours and you have something, but it's not related with real information, it's not validated, it's not certified, so it's just a monument, a virtual monument. In this case, it's a parametric model. So any avatar can be embodied. We use the term embodiment for explaining the experience of of immersion in the cyberspace. In this case of embodiment, you can calculate the scale of your avatar and your experience inside. So this is very helpful. Here is the avatar in front of a movie, but I think that we can see later. And of course, we can have avatar communicating between avatar and avatar communicating with a virtual character by computer graphic. So there are different experiences in the free cyberspaces. Their communication is between people, I mean real people through avatars, because in the Second Life you can have you can use mic, so that you have use the mic, you have the voice in the 3D space, and the distance between the voice and voice is like in the reality. So that if I'm here, you can hear me, you can hear me less. It's like it's exactly like we can do in the cyberspace. So this, I think, this kind of realism, sorry if I borrow from the camera, this different kind of realism, and I forgot, time to stay here. But this kind of realism can improve the sense of place. I'm in the cyberspace, I'm talking with other avatars, I'm communicating, and so on. And we had interesting experiences. This is an example of a PowerPoint presentation and in the same time movies. I mean PowerPoint like here, so you can click in the 3D cyberspace and then you have a slideshow, or you can click here and you have a movie, or you can have another kind of simulation. So that it's a totally, not totally, but it's a very open space for experimenting multimedia in the 3D. Here we have the general planimetry of the villa with the main architectural elements, so like the Republican Garden, the Peristelium, the Atrium, and the Triclinium. This is very common in any imperial villa, so that I think that's very helpful for the student to understand how the ancient Romans were thinking. Architectural spaces, architectural plans, and as well the use of materials, plaster, decorations, colors, and so on. This is the, we can talk later about this multidisciplinary research and education palace. I can say palace because you can go there and you can experiment didactic, you can interact with didactic information inside. It's a sort of virtual museum of the virtual villa. It's very helpful because it's a sort of virtual library, so you can catch some additional information, readings, and so on. And you can also. This is, I think, a nice movie we get during the course. For example, so this is a typical training, so that you have some of you are very familiar, some other possibly now, but we are here in the library, so the KL232 in the lab, so that every student in front of the workstation can, of course, interact with the instructor, so that in this case Nicolo is the instructor, and there are students that are represented by virtual avatars in the cyberspace. So that they run as an avatar, and through the avatar can walk in the cyberspace. And they have two ways of, principally two ways of communication. They can chat typing, or they can use the voice. It depends on the experiment, depends on the session. So that, of course, chatting has a less impact in the 3D cyberspace, but it's less realistic, I can say. And talking, of course, is much more realistic, but of course it creates some confusion in some way. So that it depends on the use of the cyberspace we have during the lab session. Then the student can work also in teams, so that they can create small teams for constructing 3D content, for analyzing the content, for taking notes of the experiments, and so on. So I think it's very interesting, this kind of exchange between the instructors and the student, between the student and the student. We are also experimenting through questionnaires thanks to the collaboration with the group of cognitive scientists, the result of this experience, so that maybe in a few weeks or a couple of months we can have the final result of this, the statistical result of the questionnaire, so that we can see, we can measure really how was the impact on this kind of training. So what they can learn through cyberspace, what they can learn through the interactions and the communication. Of course, this experience is in the lab, but it can continue also out of the lab. This is important, because if you are registering in Second Life, you have an avatar, then you can create additional experiments or workshop or activities. It was very interesting, for example, to invite students from Europe. We had a very another interesting cyber conference or cyber workshop with students from different countries. So it's very interesting to say, apart the time zone, I think it's possible to have people from different parts of the world with different background, with different cultural experiences, and so on. So, in short, that we share 3D model, historical document, and virtual information. This experiment was made last semester, with the Italian National Research Council. They organized a summer school in archaeology, and we had here inside our virtual heritage island this kind of workshop, and we students participated from both sides, so from California and from Europe. For example, I'm here, and here we have the public chat and the voice. In this case, I use the voice. We participated to an international conference here, organized by the University of Chicago, so that here we have the presentation of the work done here at UCM in the virtual theater of the University of Chicago. This is very common in Second Life. We have a very famous university like Columbia or Stanford or Harvard, Cambridge, many. But the most important thing is that for us, and I think for any university, is not the creation of the cyberspace, but the creation of activities, the performance inside. So this, I think, is the crucial part of the work: training, feedback, and performances.